Radical Radio Collective.
Good afternoon, listeners. You are tuned into 4ZZZ on 102.1 FM, and this is Ecoradio, Australia's longest-running peace and environment radio show. We are taking over your middle of the day in the middle of your week airwaves. My name is Zack, and my pronouns are he, they, and I want to start off by acknowledging and paying my respects to the custodians of the country on which we broadcast. We are located in the city Magangin, or Mianjin, on Turrbal Yagara Ugrapul land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Kabi Kabi and Jinambara country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay our respects to the Quandong people, and down south, we reach Commonberry, Nagaragwal, Munanjali, Wanjirabara, Yugambeh and Bunjalung countries. There is no Crown land. Thank you very much to No Idea on Before Me. I really like the discussion about how climate change is affecting the whales. So for a bit of context, I suppose I was hanging out with my dad last week, and he's a bit of a nutjob conspiracy theorist, and he thinks we're heading to more of an ice age before global warming. So maybe if he has his way, then the whales will be all right. But other than that, very concerning for them indeed. Today on the show, I will be playing an interview Dave did with Mia Bloom, who blocked the entrance of Ferra Engineering on Monday in an effort to slow the production of F-35 jet parts that get used in the ongoing genocide of Palestinians. Ecoradio contributor Kirstyn has also brought us a report about the ongoing efforts to recover the Richmond Birdwing Butterfly. So Kirstyn sat down with the Wildlife Preservation Society of Queensland Projects Manager Matt Cecil. So that is what we have in store for Ecoradio today. Stick around. You are tuned into Ecoradio on 4ZZZ, and what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be playing an interview that Dave, my regular co-host who is not in the studio today, he did an interview with Mia Bloom about the blockading of the Ferra Engineering on Monday to slow down the production of F-35 jet parts that get used by Israel in their persecution of Palestinians. So we'll give that one a listen to now.
Thanks, Zack. It's Dave here, and I'm talking to Mia Bloom. Mia blockaded Ferra Engineering in Tingalpa on Monday. Thank you so much for joining me, Mia.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's good to be on this show.
Yeah. So could you tell us what happened on Monday?
Yeah, so we rocked up at around 4:15 and set up the tripod. I climbed up and we blocked the entry to Ferra Engineering, which is the sole global supplier of the F-35 bomb release mechanisms that drop bombs on starving innocent Palestinians. So we were there for about 3.5 hours, and materially actually disrupting the supply chain to genocide. So if Brisbane stops producing, then F-35s worldwide can't drop bombs, which means we have a real power to end this, and that's what we were there to do.
Yeah, I see a lot of people say, people who are, I guess, uninformed, say that Australia doesn't have any part in the genocide in Gaza. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, that's what they want you to believe, but Ferra exports the F-35 weapons adapters through the U.S. supply chain to Israel. And the government knows this, and they fund it, and they celebrate it in press releases. So, yeah, it's just false.
Were you afraid to blockade the Tingalpa factory?
No, I have been arrested before, and I've been involved in the movement for a while. I've seen how it operates behind the scenes, and there's a lot of care and thought and practice as well that goes into every single action. So yeah, I felt very safe, and it was very smooth. We actually got the whole tripod set up and me up it in think it was like 11 minutes. It was very fast, like getting it off the roof of the car and everything. It's just like, it's just shows the power of having a really good team. And everyone that's involved really cares. And so they make sure that it's done right.
I haven't seen any news coverage of the blockade. Is that surprising to you?
Like, I guess not. I mean, after the big protests last Monday, was it? The Herzog protests? Like, I guess I feel like the media just wants to silence anything happening. You know, I mean, it was so brutal and violent, like the police brutality. And, something like that would just like fan the flames of the anger that everyone's feeling. So, no, it makes sense, even though it's frustrating, but it's good at least that we have social media and we can, we can share what we're doing there. And there was a lot of support and, obviously all the Palestine groups sharing around and that reaching a lot of people. So that's good.
Yeah. Queensland is putting through hate speech laws in air quotes. Is this going to affect your activism going forward?
I think that, this is just, when stuff like this happens, for me, it only makes me want to engage more because, this world is getting crazier and crazier. And when things like this pass through, it just means that we need to fight, and engage in the fight more. We just gotta keep showing up and keep speaking truth to power. And what else can we do? It's crazy that it's illegal, to protest, in this way that I just did. But it's literally illegal for them to fund companies that profit off of war crimes. So we have to choose morality because, it's not moral when those parts are used to bomb hospitals and schools and refugee camps. So if our government's not going to act, then we have to. And if they're going to keep, it's actually a sign that it's working. When these repressive laws come in, because they're just trying to, keep us down, but we just have to keep up the fight. So I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah. Why is it important to you to advocate for Palestinians here in Australia?
Aside from the historical context of just the whole colonial project being absolutely devastating for Palestinians, the last 2 years, having seen it escalate in this way that we've all watched, live streamed to our phones. It was breaking my heart every day to see this happening and to know that our government is complicit and that our, tax dollars are going towards that horror. I had to do something and it feels so much more empowering to do something than to do nothing. So, I feel like if more people knew that we could actually do something about it, then there would be more action against what's happening. But yeah, there's just there's this apathy is so planted into us because of course it makes us just not act or not think that we have any power to do anything, but we do. So I'm trying to just show that also through doing this and hopefully inspire more young people to realize that we can make a difference.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you'd like our listeners to know about your activism or about the genocide in Gaza?
That it's still ongoing. It's just happening, under a different name. That there are lots of groups that are out there and ways that people can get involved, in big ways and in small ways, but that, to not lose hope. And, this like the movement to liberate us all, like in a way, needs a rack to hang its hat on, if that makes sense. Like, and I feel that this specific issue encompasses so many problems, like with occupation and apartheid and, people's right to live freely on their own land, to have access to food and, water and hospitals, all these, basic life necessities. Like, this is a moment where we could escalate, and we need a lot of people to do that. So find your local Palestine action group and find out how you can get involved. All action is really, really necessary. And we're going to free Palestine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Mia, for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for that interview, Dave. I want to, I suppose, discuss at the moment about some more legal proceedings about what's been happening between like Perth and Sydney. So if you're listening to Ecoradio 2 days after Invasion Day, or you've been paying close attention to the news, then you would be aware that a homemade explosive device was thrown into a crowd of Invasion Day protesters. This explosive device did not detonate, thankfully, and the person was taken into custody not long after. If you remember, though, their identity was suppressed by the court for, quote, for his own safety. As of yesterday, the man was charged with a terrorism offence. The suppression on his identity was lifted, and he was named as Liam Alexander Hall. Now, this is a piece of news in its own right, but what I really wanted to talk about is the discrepancies between this case that involved an alleged terrorism plot and the Sydney protesters against Isaac Herzog, who have been charged with things such as assaulting police, hindering police, and refusing to comply with direction. So a couple of days after this happened, the Daily Telegraph posted all the names and identities of those charged by New South Wales Police. And I just find this difference really odd, considering the reason for withholding the alleged terrorist name is due to his safety, but those same standards could not be applied to the protesters. I acknowledge that these incidents occurred in different states, so there are obviously different procedures or standards, but I still find it a pretty big indictment of the systematic attitudes towards these different parties, especially when considering much of the police and protester interaction in Sydney was galvanised, I suppose you could say, by the comments of Chris Minns in particular, and sort of like it wasn't artificially manufactured because it obviously did happen, but it was very much the police have been let off the loose a little bit more compared to previous. So I've just sort of found those discrepancies very concerning, I suppose. Now, did you know you can subscribe? We here at 4ZZZ, we really rely on the generosity of the community to keep us on air. It costs, I think, approximately $70 an hour to keep our radio waves online 24/7. And yeah, so if you subscribe as well, there's obviously some benefits for you too. So you can subscribe for as little as $25 for a pet, or $40 for a concession, $80 for a full, or $140 if you're very passionate. With that passionate subscription, you can get a sticker, tote bag, and shirt as well. Then if you are even more passionate than just regular passionate, you could be a super sub, and that one is $500. You get your name downstairs on the wall, and there's a whole bunch of other perks that come with that too. This month, there is a subscription prize for White Lies Brewing. So if you subscribe, there's a chance you go into winning a voucher for White Lies Brewing, which is not a voucher, excuse me. You get a prize from White Lies Brewing, and you can enter the draw to win 3 mixed cases of White Lies beer and a $50 Yeasty Boys pizza voucher. Pizza and beers are always a good combination, so if that's something that interests you, you should really think about subscribing.
You're listening to Ecoradio, the radio of the future.
You are listening to Ecoradio, the radio of the future. Thank you, small child. Yes, I don't know where to really go from that one, but you are listening to Ecoradio on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. And up next, Ecoradio contributor Kirstyn Lindsay has sat down with Wildlife Preservation Society of Queensland Projects Manager Matt Cecil to talk about the ongoing efforts to restore the habitat of the Richmond Birdwing Butterfly so it can fly again. So let's give that interview a listen to right now.
This is southeast Queensland's largest butterfly, the second largest butterfly in Australia. It's beautiful. The females are 15 centimetres across from wingtip to wingtip, which is in reference, it's just a number, but that's probably about as wide as the pen you're holding in your hand or you have on your desk right now. So they are a really giant, big, beautiful butterfly. We'd hate to see them disappear. So that's where this project fits in and why we're doing it. So it's not complicated, but it's a big issue, and we'd hate to see this one disappear from the landscape.
Can you talk a bit about the role of the butterfly in the pollination cycle? Do they have any little special jobs?
They certainly do. I mean, they are another insect. They're absolutely needing to feed on nectar in the rainforest, but they're also a really big, strong flyer. So a lot of insects really are quite restricted in their distribution or their individual range because they're small and open to predation and can't travel far. But the Richmond Birdwing female specifically is a very big butterfly and a very strong flyer, and they can travel quite large distances, kilometres from treetop to treetop. So they certainly have a role in pollination and spreading pollen across the landscape further than maybe what other smaller butterflies can do. So in terms of helping to connect diversity within rainforest plants and other flowering plants, they have a big role to play.
So I've noticed with the vine that they have almost like a sandpaper feel to the leaves. Can you tell us about that role in relation to the larva liking that plant?
But it's a strange little leaf. It is, you're right, quite coarse. The new growth is a little bit furry and lovely to feel. It feels like you're patting a little mouse. But then as those vines get older, the leaves become reasonably a little bit sandpapery and tough. But that's sort of... that means that the smaller caterpillars, when they hatch out of their egg, they feed upon the nice, soft new growth. And as they become bigger, like the one in the screen behind me, those guys eat everything. They eat stems, flowers, other caterpillars, the really big hard leaves. They just chew through it like nothing else. And you can almost hear them chewing away. You can actually hear them chewing those big, thick, rough, leathery leaves. It's quite fun.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear. Can you talk about the conditions for healthy growth for the vine? What do they need?
Yeah, for sure. The vine is a lowland rainforest vine, so they really do well when there's a little bit of shade around. They like to have fairly rich soils that are rainforest-like in nature, lots of humus, lots of rotting vegetation and fairly damp. Certainly not wet. They're not a sedge. They don't like to be having their roots waterlogged or wet all the time, but they certainly need soil moisture. So wherever we plant them, whether it be in a pot in our home or in our backyard or the bushland, it's terribly important that the soil around the roots doesn't dry out because they will turn their toes up quite quickly. But then some sunshine is really important. You can appreciate that in a rainforest, every plant is reaching for the sunshine at the top. So this vine is no different. Grows in the shady environment, but it is always growing to the top of the canopy to try and access some sunlight. So for us at home, shady base, shady sort of root area, part shade during the day, but letting those leaves have access to sunlight during some part of the day is really important. Full sun can be pretty tricky though, so we encourage people not to plant in the middle of their backyard. They will grow in full sunlight, but it's not their best environment. But shady, rich soils, lots of mulch, fair amount of moisture is the key. And you've got to think of this as a slow burn. The vine takes some time to grow to a size where it is, of use to a butterfly and provides enough leaf for a larvae. So it just gets better and better and better. So as time goes on, we keep pushing, keep promoting planting of vines. And 20 years ago, when this was at the start of the century, vines were being planted. Well, they're now 20 years old and very big, so they're providing more and more habitat. But we haven't stopped promoting and encouraging people to plant vines, so the snowball continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we really hope we're on the cusp of seeing some big population changes and maybe expansion of the butterfly into areas that haven't been seen for a while.
I was told that over in North Stradbroke Island there's been some sightings of the butterfly as well as around Tambourine Mountain. Can you talk a bit about that and any other areas where you're seeing some of the return of the butterflies?
Certainly, and that's the funny thing. Where we see butterflies turn up in strange places, it's because they turn up on a 10-year-old vine that's massive and has a lot of biomass. So the key really is if you plant it, they will come. If you don't plant it, they certainly won't come. But it is a slow burn. You have to be patient, let your vine get big and sort of get its plant pheromones into the air for strange random females to turn up. And in case in point, North Stradbroke Island is one of those. We don't know if we have an active population there, but we did have some individuals observed on some vines at Point Lookout. Similarly, we've had a vine in the Redlands, in Thornlands turn up. Another big 15-year-old vine where a female was found. So she's blown in from somewhere and focused in on those plant pheromones and sort of laid some eggs there. Early on this year and late last year, we had some butterflies turn up in the western suburbs of Brisbane, so Pullen Vale and in Sherwood, not too far apart in terms of time. So again, we don't know a functioning population in those areas, but we have had two individuals turn up there, again, on big vines that have been growing for several years. So this is where we're confident that if we continue to plant these vines and these vines get big, it won't take very long before a couple of individuals turn up and remain and lay eggs and hatch out larvae, and larvae hatch, and there might be another butterfly nearby that can reproduce, and we start ticking over. There's a lot of vines growing in the western suburbs of Brisbane because there's been 20 years worth of concerted planting efforts. So there's some really big stands of vines that are just itching and waiting to receive a female butterfly to lay some eggs. So it will happen. It will happen.
Matt says without conservation action, the Richmond Birdwing Butterfly is at risk of becoming extinct and has hope for their return when we see more mature vines growing on country. You can learn more about the project and where you can purchase the vine for planting on the Wildlife Preservation Society of Queensland's website. Head to the Conservation Programs tab on the Wildlife Dropbox to check out more on the Richmond Birdwing Butterfly, and that one is at wildlife.org.au. You're listening to Ecoradio on 4ZZZ, and we will appropriately be listening to Butterfly by Selv up next.
Paradigm Shift's podcast is available online and via your favourite podcasting app, challenging the assumptions of our current society to investigate alternative ways of living for a world based on justice, solidarity, and sustainability. Tune in to the Paradigm Shift podcast. Just search The Paradigm Shift, 4ZZZ.
You are tuned into Ecoradio on 4ZZZ, and we just heard from Selv with their song Butterfly. And up next, it's a little thing that I like to call, and all the people in the world like to call, and it is the Bushcare Roundup.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds, and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup.
So the Bushcare Roundup is a collation of environmental and peace-related events that are happening in Brisbane from this Wednesday until next Wednesday, at which point it will be updated and we'll have a whole new list. So on Saturday the 21st From 7 till 9 a.m. there is the Kalinga Park Bushcare Group Working Bee, and that one is at Kalinga Park in Nundah. From 7 till 10 a.m. there is a Come When You Can Bushcare Working Bee at Quandong Park in Ashgrove. From 8 till 10 there is a working bee at Ian Page Park in Carina. Then from 9 till 11:30 a.m. there is a 4 Mile Creek Catchment Care Day, and that one is at Lawnton Reserve in Strathpine. Then rounding out your Saturday of the 21st, there is the Armwood Place Bushcare. That one is at 3 p.m. and is at Armwood Place in Annerley. And then on Sunday the 22nd from 7 till 9 a.m. there is the Cicada Park Bushcare. That one is at 69 Ironbark Road in Chapel Hill. Then from 8 till 10 a.m. there is a Bushcare Working Bee at 31 Nathan Avenue, Ashgrove. Then from 8 till 10 there is another Bushcare Working Bee. This is Bushcare in the Park at Ricky Bailey Park in Oxley. And that is it for Eco Radio this week. I don't really have much else left to say other than you should go and attend some of those Bushcare Working Bees if you can. It's always good to get outside and then remove some weeds, help out the local park, help out the local environment, all the good things. I do want to add as well that this is not a comprehensive list. This is only 8 events because that's all the space we have for on the graphics that we upload to the social media pages. So do have a look out there. There are likely going to be more environmental events on in Brisbane than just the ones that I've given there. Up next, there is going to be Sonic Alien, who will take care of you from 1 till 3 p.m. And they have an interview that I'm really excited to listen to. It's from Black Country New Road, who'll be playing in Brisbane next week. I'll be going to that one. So if that is something you may be interested in, you should go along and you might be able to develop that parasocial relationship with me, and we'll get to meet each other in person. And they're also going to be playing an interview that they did with Cardinals, excuse me. I'm going to be playing you out with a song by the Pixies, and this one is called Where Is My Mind?
Stop.
Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ.